All right, so here is part two. We're actually going to start with question number 13. So this is finite geometric series. We talked about this very briefly right before spring break. So if you don't remember it, it's okay. This is literally like there's two questions that are like this. This is one of them that you're going to want to memorize. Okay, so pay attention to this. Okay, so consider additional steps to derive the formula of the sum of the finite geometric series. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do here is go from this to our final answer being this. So this is going to be the last step in our process. Okay, so first we've got all of these things written out. Okay, so we're going to take these and we're actually going to flip it. Okay, so the next step would be this one right here, this 4. Okay, so we're going to rewrite this out backwards. Okay, so we would go to this step right here. And then we could pull out an A from every single one of these R's that's in here. So this would be our next step. So it would go 4, 3. Okay, and then we would say, all right, well, we've got all these. Let's pull out a 1 minus R and pull it out on both sides. Okay, so we would do this one right here. Okay, so then it would be 1. Okay, and then what we could do is we can kind of get rid of all of this mess. Okay, and the reason why we can get rid of all of this mess is because we really only care about the nth term. Okay, because we only care about the nth term. All right, so then that would bring us to this one right here. And finally, we would be at step 2. Okay, so I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. You only see this occasionally. You might see this in your higher levels of math, in sequences and series if you go into the math field. So just be mindful of that. But again, just memorizing the steps. That's really the main focus on this one. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look. We're going to use this formula. So we're going to actually go back to number 5. So I'm going to write this formula down really quick so we have it. So we go S of n equals A times 1 minus R raised to the n over 1 minus R. If you hear anything in the background, it's just my dogs. I apologize. Okay. Okay, so this one, for instance, the first term of a geometric sequence is 8. Okay, so that's going to go right here for this A. Okay, so that's going to go right here for this A. Okay, so we got 8. And then it says the fourth term is 216. What is the sum of the first 9 terms of the corresponding series? Okay, so we want to find the fourth term first. Okay, so we've got this 1 minus R raised to the 4th, and then we got 1 minus R down at the bottom. Okay, now we're trying to figure out what R actually is. So first I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. So I'm going to take 216 and I'm going to divide it by 8. So 216 divided by 8, and that's going to give us 27. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to multiply by this 1 minus R and put it onto the other side. So I'm going to get 27 minus 27R. Okay. And then I'm going to set that equal to 1 minus R to the 4th power. I'm going to move all my numbers to one side. So this will be 26 minus 27R. And I'm going to move that R to the 4th over to this side as well. So I'll have R to the 4th minus 27R plus 26. And again, I'm trying to figure out what R is. So I could do it this way, but I'm actually going to introduce, I'm going to stop that really quick. And I'm actually going to introduce like maybe just a little bit of an easier way. So the first term is 8. And the 4th term is 216. Okay, so you want to think about it. This is the first, and you're trying to get to the 4th. Okay, so what would be the 2nd? What would be the 3rd? And it all has to be the same number. Okay, so you want to think, all right, well, I've got to multiply this so many times to get to 216. Okay, so we already said 216 divided by 8 was 27. Well, what if we take 27 and we divide it up into 3? Like if we divide it at 3, what if we multiplied 8 by 9? Okay, so let's just try that. Okay, so 8 times 9, that would give us 72. It'll be right here. And let's multiply that again by 9. Well, that's not gonna work, right? Okay, what if we multiplied it by 3? Okay, because we know that it's going to be some type of factor of 27. What if we multiply it by 3? So undo. Okay, so let's multiply by 3. So we get 8 times 3, which is going to give us 24, and 24 times 3, which is going to give us 72, and then 72 times 3, which is going to give us 216. There we go. Okay, so really the focus is to get that R. Okay. I personally like to do it this way because I don't like dealing with having to solve for all of this mess and then I have to test a bunch of stuff. I'm not about it. So again, you would just kind of like list them out and figure out what your rate is. So I did 216 divided by 8, and that gave me 27. And then I figured, okay, well, I'm multiplying by the same thing 3 times. So I know that 27 divided by 3 is 9. So I tried 9, and then I tried factors of 9 and just kind of worked it from there. It's kind of some trial and error. Okay, so again, we're trying to figure out what is the sum of the first 9 terms. Okay, so we figured out that our R is 3. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to plug all of that into here. Okay, so we said that the rate is 3. So we've got 8 times 1 minus 3 raised to the 4th power over 1 minus 3. And we're going to go into Desmos, and we're actually going to plug that into our calculator. I'm going to do this on here. I apologize. Let's this build up. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say 8 times 1 minus 3 to the 4th, and divided by 1 minus 3. And so that's 320. Okay, so okay, so that's gonna be 320. Okay, so the best way to do this is to list out what's your first term, what's your last term that they give you, how do you find the rate, okay, and then plug into this equation. Okay, I should give you this equation. If I don't, I'll have it up on the board. Just remind me if I don't give it to you. Okay, so the following system of, oh, we already did that one. Going back down here. Okay, so number 10. All right, so what you're gonna do is this manufacturer produces pencils and pens. So let X represent the number of pencils produced in an hour and Y represent the number of pens produced in an hour. Then the inequalities are that. Use the profit function and constraints given the maximum profit for manufacturing the pens and pencils for the given constraint. So best way to do this stuff is to just plug it all in Desmos. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna first write this down so I don't have to go back to this page. And I'm also not really going to worry about this Y is greater than 0 and X is greater than 0. I don't really need to worry about that. Okay, so coming back into Desmos, I'm going to type in my inequalities. So I've got X plus Y is greater than, oh, I'm sorry, less than or equal to 9. And then on this other one, we've got X plus 2Y is less than or equal to 10. Okay. And we're trying to maximize our profit. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at when X and Y are greater than 0. Okay, so that would be this little region right here. And we're going to look at all of this region that's like the dark shaded region. Okay, and we're trying to maximize our profit. So what's going to happen is we're going to use these points that I just touched. because that's where all of these graphs like intersect. One of these is going to be your maximized profit. Okay, it's just kind of like a matter of like plugging it in and checking your work. So I'm going to take 0.5 and I'm going to plug it into this cost, this profit function. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say 25 times 0 plus 40. I got those backwards. Let me flip those. X is 0. No, I did that right. I apologize. 5, and this should be 40. There we go. Okay, so this guy right here gives me a profit of $200. Okay, so not too bad. Let's check the other ones though. Okay, so we got this point right here, which is 8,1. So we're going to take that and we're going to plug that into our constraint or our maximize profit formula. 8, yeah. That's 40. That's 240. So we can see that this right here is going to be more than this one. So far that's that. Okay, and then our last one is 9, 0. We're going to plug that in. 25 times 9. And that's 225. Okay, so where are you going to get the most bang for your buck? Okay, so 225. Okay, so it's going to be this one right here, which is 8, 1. So 8 pencils and 1 pen. I think that's what it was. So again, you would sketch a graph. You could do it that way, or I think it asks you to sketch a graph and then identify how many pencils and pens, and this is it. Okay, so it'd be 8 pencils and 1 pen. Okay, so graph it and then see where it kind of like connects, and then maximize the profit. So you're trying to look for the biggest number that you can produce from this equation. Okay. All right, number 11, a lot of people struggle with this one, but explain how to determine the solutions of any two functions where f of x equals g of x from a graph. And this is literally asking you for this statement, where the graphs intersect, or you can use the word cross, is where the solution lies. Okay. You need to know that answer. Okay. Determine the solutions of the given graph below. Okay. So it's wherever they cross. So we see that it crosses right here at -1, 4. And this point right here, which is 4, 1. So our solutions are x equals -1 and 4. Okay, remember we only look at our x values when we're dealing with functions and not inequalities. If there's any shading, or we're talking about kind of like a word problem that they give an x and y, that's when we're going to talk about x and y values. Okay, so after graduating from college, Hermione decided to join a new company. She, sorry, a typo, agreed to a salary which will increase by 2.5 each year. She will also earn $70,250 for her 10th year of work. What is her starting salary? Okay, so what you're going to do is you can either write this out. I like to do this visually, and then I like to use the equation. So for instance, all right, she's going to have her first year, she makes such and such, right? In her 10th year, she's going to make $70,250. Okay. And she's going to increase by 2.5% each year. Okay. So we're going to use this little scenario. Okay. And this is the number of years. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 70,250 equals, we don't know what A is. We're trying to figure out what the rate, well, the rate is 0.025. So we're trying to figure out what that initial amount. So 10 is going to be in this exponent because it was over the course of 10 years. Okay, so I'm gonna plug this into my calculator. So I'm gonna say 1 minus 0.025. And I'm gonna raise that to the 10th power. Okay, so 1 minus 0.025. Okay, so that's 0.975. And I'm gonna take 70,250 and I'm gonna divide it by 0.975. Okay, so the initial amount was what this is saying. Oh, we got to raise it to the 10th power. Sorry. Woo, I was going to say that's real wrong. Okay, so we're going to take this little rate that we found right here, and we're going to raise it to the 10th power. Okay, so that gives us 0.77. Okay, so we're going to take that 70,250, 70,250. Okay, and we're going to divide it by 0.77 63296. That'll work. Okay, so this said that it was an initial amount of 90,000. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So what did we do wrong? Well, instead of it 1 minus this rate, we're actually going to say plus, okay? Because remember, we're adding each year, okay? So coming in here, and we're going to say plus. So it's going to be 1.28. So it's going to be 1.2800. Okay, so she started off with, so A would be $54,882.81. Okay, so coming back over to my review. Okay, so again, her starting salary would be $54,882.81. Make sure that you use your dollar symbol. Write an equation to represent the sum of Hermione's salaries over in years. Okay, so remember that little like S of n equals eighth and one, etc. Okay, so we're gonna do this exact same thing, except instead of it being 1 minus R, it's gonna be 1 plus R. So the sum of n equals our initial amount, which is this. Okay, and we're going to multiply 1 minus, and our, or I'm sorry, 1 plus, our rate is 0.025. And we're going to say to the nth power, and we're going to divide that by 1 plus 0.025. Okay, and that is how you would write the equation to represent the sum of her salaries. So what that means is each year you would be adding up, like the first year she made 54,000, the next year she made 56,000, right? So you would add that each year. To the nearest dollar, how much money did she earn for her first 10 years? So now we're actually going to plug in 10 into this equation. So we're going to go into Desmos because I'm not doing this number in my head. Go in here. Okay, so we're going to take $54,882.81, and we're going to multiply it times 1 plus 0.025, and we're going to raise that to the 10th power. And we're going to divide that by 1 plus 0.025. Now that doesn't really make any sense. So looking at this, it says that she only made 53,544 in 10 years, but we know that in the first year she made 54,000. Okay, so what do we do wrong? Well, what if they did 1 minus? Let's see how that impacts it. Nope, that's not it. It's still gonna be plus. It's still going to be plus. Well, this 10, let's take it outside of this parentheses. We're going to raise it to the 10th power. That's a little bit better. But again, after 10 years, we know that her 10th year, she made 70,000. Okay, so something's not right about this. But what is it? All right, so sorry about that. I know it was super messy. So to the nearest dollar, how much money did she earn in her first 10 years? So if you actually work all of this out, she makes like a ton of money. But that being said, though, looking at this, if you use this formula that we were talking about, you would get 56,290.06. And so that's talking about using that 2.5% rate, and that kind of thing. This number seems a little weird. And I'm not sure why that is. And maybe I will come up with a better solution. If I do in the next like couple hours, I'll fix this video. But that is actually how you're supposed to do it. I think something's just a little messed up. But again, I'll fix that. No worries. You won't be penalized on your test. Don't fret about it. It's just my bad. So with the review guide, one thing that I would like for you to do, okay, is down here at the bottom, I think it's on the very back page. Remember that your performance final is on Friday. I'm going to post that video in just a second onto your e-class page. You still have a unit 7 to take. So a lot of y'all have been asking me about what you can do for your grade and that kind of stuff. Remember, you have another unit test, and then how many NTIs you currently have in the grade book. So think about that. And then have you filled out the what did I miss Google form? A lot of y'all have like turned in tests, turned in stuff, but you need to make sure that you fill out the Google form. So I know to go either A, grade it, or B, go look for it. Okay. And then I want you to just go ahead and put your current grade in the class, as well as what is your goal in the class by the end of the semester. Please don't just put like, oh, I want to get an A. And if you're like sitting at a 30 and you haven't done anything all semester, like don't like put a realistic goal. Okay. We got 27-ish days left in the semester. So let's make it happen. Okay, so I will go back through that last question. I'm sorry, I'll botch that a little bit. I'll do better. All right, well, y'all have a fantastic day. See you later.